I just cleaned up a bunch of gunk that was all around this whole area here. That was saturated with oil. That would indicate to me that, you know, the gearbox was leaking. Oil leaks. One or the other. Now, looking at this front seal here, there's a little bit of weeping around that seal, but what's interesting is this underside is very dry. It has flaking paint, but not as much gunk on it as this whole area around here does, which is why I actually suspect that it's where this flange section mounts to the rest of the gearbox, that gasket in there is what's leaking. I'm going to check those nuts, these bolts. There's 6 of them. I'm going to make sure they're tight. And then I'm going to top off the oil if it's low, which I suspect it is, and leave it alone for now. Almost every one of these bolts was a little loose. These 2 here, and this one, all turned about a quarter of a turn. And the one on the bottom was pretty tight. And this one here, I was able to give it almost a full revolution before it tightened up. So this one was really loose. And this does appear to be the side where most of the gunk was deposited. You can see the other side's all clean. So I'm hoping that's where my leak was. That would be nice. Then I don't have to go tearing this apart. Alright, so now I've started the tractor and I've lowered the hitch and then adjusted the top link out enough so that the cutter is level, so that I can now pull the plug and check the level. This is the drain slash not drain, fill slash check plug. And I actually already had this off, but I wanted to level the tractor, but I did see oil in there. Ooh, I guess I tightened it too much. Okay, I had to go and check on in the manual, but the manual says that you fill the gearbox up to the level of this hole, so the gearbox should be filled up to here, and I could see that there's oil in there, so it's probably about maybe an inch low right now. You don't want to overfill it, because that could result in there not being enough room for expansion when it heats up, and that can cause it to blow out a seal, or at the very least push oil out where you don't want it to come out. And you're supposed to use 80 to 90 weight gear oil, which is I've got this DuraBlend synthetic blend stuff, got some left over from my ATV differential, so since that's what I've got, that's what I'm going to use. Alright, it doesn't specify whether or not it's supposed to be to the bottom edge of the threads or up to this upper lip level, but I'm just going to do it to the bottom edge of the threads, and that looks pretty good. Ideally, I would like to drain the oil out of this, but there's no drain plug on the bottom of this that I could see, so it appears to me what you probably have to do is maybe use a siphon and suck it out, which I've got one around here somewhere, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. I've got the blades off of it right now, and I'm just running it with the blades off, looking for any unusual vibration. When I first started, there's a bit of a shudder. I don't know if that's normal or not, but got the light under here, and I can see that blade support, or stump jumper, whatever you want to call it, looks like that's bent. That's wobbling pretty bad. So I'm going to have to just check and make sure that's not loose. Alright, it's not loose. And if I can get my arm in there and wiggle, there's very little end play in the shaft. So what we've got is a bent stump jumper. If I show you right there, the stump jumper is pretty much just about rubbing or almost touching the bottom of the deck right there.
at that point. But as I rotate it, you'll see that gap opens right up to a maximum right about there. Or I can almost put my finger in. I can get my pinky in there almost. So it's probably like 3/8 of an inch there, or maybe even almost a half an inch. But it tightens back up right here, comes back down. So it's pretty uniform all the way around, except when it gets to this one spot right here. So this must be dented in. This must be where it's pushed in. So I'll probably ask for an opinion of some of the online gurus, see what they think, if that's going to be a problem or not. The good news is, it looks like, oddly enough, that's, oh, okay, alright, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That bent spot coincides exactly with pretty much where this blade hooks on. So maybe that would cause an imbalance problem. Well, it didn't seem to be running that bad. I mean, I've never run one of these before, but I would expect a certain amount of vibration when you get this thing humming along, especially when it's chopping stuff. Well, anyways, I think I'm going to call it quits for tonight. The last thing I wanted to do was, I'm going to take some measurements. I went to buy a PTO shield at Tractor Supply, and had a whole problem there where the PTO shields, you have to buy the PTO, what they call the shield bearings, which are just these plastic collar deals, separately, and they have all different sizes, so that you can buy one, they can stock one shield, and then you change the bearings and you can use it on several different shaft sizes. And there's metric and there's standard. Because of the age, I'm sure this is standard, but problem is they have part numbers for the shield bearings, but they don't tell you what the dimensions are for the shield bearings. So what I'm going to do is I took a rough dimension of this yesterday, and I thought it was 2 inches, but now, because I need to be more exact, I'm going to get my vernier calipers and take a proper measurement of that. I'm getting a measurement of 260 thousandths. So it's just a hair over 2 inches. And that one there is measuring close to the same, but that one needs to be cleaned up with the wire brush. Looks like that hasn't seen a guard shield bearing in a long time. So the other thing I got to do is I got to figure out how to properly test and adjust this slip clutch, because the online manual for the Model 305 on the Bush Hog website it shows the procedure for the newer slip clutch, but the parts are still available for this slip clutch, including the friction discs. So since they're supporting it with parts, I'm sure that somewhere I can get the information on how to test and adjust it. I don't see any springs. It's just looks like it's just some sort of fiber discs sandwiched in there. But I'll deal with that on another day. It's getting dark and cold.